The year is
I am Batman.
The year is 1991. The Catholic Church has been seeing record lows in church attendance and donations since the molestation scandals. The Soviet Union falls, and with it the fear keeping many Catholics devout. Pope John Paul II realizes he needs to create more fear and faith to raise the donation rate. He begins building the image of the papacy by issuing apologies to its past sinister deeds, such as silencing Galileo, being involved in the slave trade, the religious wars, misogyny, and its inactivity during the Holocaust. The papacy gains more support from the people, and the donations and church attendance nearly double. Many hope the church will continue making steps in the right direction and end its hypocrisy. Little do they know, Pope John Paul II begins his plans to extend fear to the US, which America makes easy. After some elaborate planning, Pope John Paul looks for a friend in the US. He finds him in George W. Bush and wins him over by offering him candy and the power of fear that his new plan will generate. George Bush runs for president, and due to his lack of intelligence and hypocrisy, he loses the election, forcing the papacy to intervene. The papacy forges votes in Florida, tipping the scales in Bush's favor. Now that the dominoes were bought, they needed to be placed. The US government's scientists had recently unlocked the secret to creating super thermite explosives, but they feared its power and stored it for later use. The weapon is set. Bush's father had stirred up harsh feelings from the Middle East, and by giving weapons to both factions of the war, he had secured a disdain for America. The scapegoat was set. Bush sent 2 CIA agents to test America's airline security, and they were able to smuggle small hidden blades on board. The distraction was set. Several major locations are considered, such as Indian Point, the #1 terrorist target in the US, a nuclear reactor capable of killing 20 million people and making the Northeast uninhabitable for thousands of years. This has declined due to the business and land to be lost. The World Trade Center, 40 miles south of it, is chosen for less collateral damage. The location is set. The largest volume of people in the World Trade Center occurs at 11 a.m. However, Bush insists killing 3,000 people is sufficient to cause outrage. 50,000 is overdoing it. 9 a.m. it is. The time is set. The UN declares September 11th a national day of peace. How perfect for vilifying the scapegoat. The date is set. On September 11th, 2001, this plan was set into motion. 7:45 a.m. 2 undercover US agents board American Airlines Flight 11 disguised as Arabs. 7:59 a.m. Flight 11 leaves Boston bound for LA. 8:13 a.m. The agents swiftly kill 2 flight attendants and 1 passenger and make their way to the cockpit. 8:14 a.m. American Airlines Flight 175 takes off from Boston bound for LA. 8:36 a.m. NORAD is notified of the Flight 11 hijacking. They call the president, and Bush issues a stand-down order. 8:43 a.m. NORAD is notified of the Flight 175 hijacking. They call Bush a second time, and once again, a stand-down is issued. 8:46 a.m. American Airlines Flight 11 impacts the North Tower. 9:02 a.m. American Airlines Flight 175 impacts the South Tower. 9:58 a.m. Bush orders the super thermite to detonate in the South Tower. 9:59 a.m. The South Tower collapses. 10:28 a.m. Bush orders the super thermite to detonate in the North Tower. 10:29 a.m. The North Tower collapses. Following this tragedy, Bush passes many bills in the sake of fighting terrorism, as well as approving a war with terror. This yields massive amounts of oil. The church sees a giant inflow of money and prayers.